much for that. Alright, let's talk a little bit here. So the question that I'm asking you guys today, our thoughtful question of the week, is asking you to tell me what the difference between self-image and self-esteem is, and tell me which one of those that you find more important, or if you, like a lot of you guys have said, that there's a good balance between the both of them, and that you guys think that they're both important. And I like that. That's a really cool way to think about it. Because they both do play off of each other to some degree, but at the same time, they're, like I said, they're kind of separate. Like, you can have a good self-esteem without having a good self-image, and vice versa, believe it or not. It's just kind of weird. But, okay, so the difference between self-esteem and self-image. Your self-image is what other people think of you. Okay, so that's external. So your self-image is opinions that people say, that what people form about you. How people view the way you dress, or talk, or act, or whatever. That's self-image. So again, self-image, external. Self-esteem is what you think of you, not what everybody else thinks of you, so what you think of you. If you think you're great, if you think you're awesome, if everybody else thinks that you're not, and you still feel that way, like, your self-esteem's good. And that's something that's internal. And the reason I find self-esteem so important is because, think about this, if you do something with your self-image, you get people to like you, you get people to appreciate what you do, who you are, that's still external, so that means that it's fleeting. Anything external, anything that's not within you is going to change inevitably. So maybe somebody has a good opinion of you now, but later down the road something might happen and their opinion of you changes. Maybe you guys grow apart. Maybe they see some of your work or whatever, and it either improves or lowers their opinion of you. So right there, you've taken a hit for your self-image. And now what does that do for your self-esteem? If we rely too much on our self-image, if we try to make our self-image better, and just improve on that and focus on that, what we're gonna find is that as soon as someone's opinion changes, all that work we did to maintain our self-image, all that work we did to improve it to other people is moot. And for that reason alone, I feel that self-esteem is a little more important than self-image, if not for the fact that when you maintain your self-esteem, you carry that with you eternally. That is something that you will always have, you will always feel, even when other people's opinions change, even when the world around you changes, your self-esteem will still be there, and it will be within you, and that's your power, guys. That's your internal source of strength. And the stronger you make your self-esteem, the more powerful you are as an individual. And by power, I'm talking the ability to control one's actions, one's thoughts, the ability to have impact in a world that at one point maybe you didn't feel so comfortable with, but because you learned to feel comfortable with yourself, all of a sudden you're okay with what's around you. Internally figuring things out and dealing with stresses and issues and mistakes that we make and things like that, those are going to solve most of your problems, whereas working on the external, working on how other people feel about you is probably not going to matter all that much. In 10 years, you may not even know that person anymore, and you put all that time and effort in for what? Not you, that's for sure. But with that said, like Bear was saying earlier, your self-image very much matters in professional settings, like when you're trying to get an interview or a job, or you're trying to make a good first impression. So for societal needs, self-image is important, that you maintain it in order to keep a good standing with your peers. But again, this is to keep a good standing with your peers, not to value yourself more. So if you're working on your self-image, you're working on it for somebody else. Remember that. That is not you doing work for specifically you. You're doing work for the world around you so that they are more open to what you have to offer. You can totally work on that, and that's fine, but from my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I'm not telling you guys how to live or whatever, I'm just trying to talk about this and maybe get some more information out there. But if you can maintain your self-esteem, if you can make that your priority, I feel that everything that you deal with, everything you struggle with, everything that might be thrown your way, you will be more well equipped to handle that problem if you have strong self-esteem, as opposed to if you had strong self-image, which might, be there one day and might not. It's like I said, it's fleeting. if you believe in yourself and you appreciate who you are, you draw strength from that. That gives you confidence, and confidence is key to almost anything that you do in your life. So if you're a confident person, you are more likely to go and get that job. If you're confident in who you are and your skill set, you are going to be able to nail some parts of that interview at least, and act like you've already got the position in that interview. Now, if you're worried about self-esteem, you'd be trying to talk yourself up and make yourself look good, but then you have to maintain that all the time, and that gets exhausting. So I want to read a little bit of something to you that I found today. I have the devil's numbers and followers. Dude, that's like the 4th time that's happened for like a week and a half. People keep following and unfollowing. It's so strange. Yeah, we don't do the follow train anymore because I feel like it's something for smaller channels and I don't want to take away from them, so I just decided to leave the follow train now. Prince's response to the question of the day: mostly self-esteem. Both are important. My self-esteem kind of sucks, but it's better than it was. And that's good. That's good. What are some things that you've done to improve your self-esteem, Prince? What's up, Kai? Welcome back to the fence. How you doing, buddy? Kamira says, Edward. Oh, damn it, Prince. Why'd you do that? Right in the feels. Son of a... The Phoenix, dude. Welcome back to the fence. So good to see you. So good to see you. Alright, so let's do a little reference in here. I did pull some information. Okay, so one person, and what I read earlier was from this person, I think, his name? Yes. Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra, he's the author of 65 books, a doctor of internal medicine and endocrinology, and a worldwide speaker on a diverse range of topics, including a lot of stuff that has to do with, our psyche. This person says that, like I said before, there's a difference between self-esteem and self-image. Chopra goes on to say, the reason people have all this plastic surgery is because they actually have forgotten themselves and are identifying themselves with their self-image. And here's what that means. They're seeing what other people see in them, and they're trying to meet those expectations. They're trying to meet those standards that other people hold for them, and that is not necessary. That's not something that you have to do in your day-to-day life. The real self within you, I'm going back to what Chopra's saying here, the real self within you is beneath no one. It's immune to criticism and it's fearless. Now, I don't know about this. I don't think it's immune to criticism simply because we can tell ourselves, hey, we suck, and we'll listen, so we can criticize ourselves, and so for that reason, I don't feel that we're immune to it whatsoever. But if we feel that we are awesome and we're good people and we're happy with who we are, anything anybody else says is gonna bounce right off of us because we know it's not true. They don't know, they're just talking out their butts most of the time. And so that's where a power of self-esteem is gonna get you in that situation. Alright, now Chopra further goes on to say, sorry, I already read that part. Okay, so, sorry, I didn't mean to jump back into that. I already read that part of the quote. But I like what Chopra is suggesting because he's talking about how our self-image is very much so mixed up with our self-esteem. We get it confused a lot. We feel like if we had good self-esteem, people around us wouldn't view us negatively, or what have you, or if we had good self-image, we'd feel better about ourselves. And trying to feel better about ourselves through building our self-image is actually mildly destructive, because that foundation is going to be built upon something that moves around. Think about this. Go and build a house in an area that has lots and lots of earthquakes. Now, make your slab on a foundation that is filled with weaker soil. It's not packed. That area gets ravaged by earthquakes more than other areas around it all the time. I'm going to label that area, that earthquake-ridden area, self-image. Now, you can build your house on your self-image, and you can erect rooms into walls and make a mansion, but then as soon as that earthquake comes, you can build all of this, and that earthquake is another person changing their opinion of you, okay? As soon as that earthquake comes, this house, this mansion, this fortress that you've built for yourself crumbles, okay? And the issue with that is that at that point, you'll have spent so much time trying to build something, and it can all have been for naught, not because of your efforts, but because the world around you changed, and you don't have control over that. What you do have control over is how you feel about you and how you think about you. So when you make your foundation built on self-esteem, and you work on your self-esteem, and you put your slab there, and you build your rooms, and you make your mansion, and you create your fortress with a foundation built upon self-esteem, that will never change. It will change as much as you do, which you do go through change throughout your life, but we all have a baseline for our personality. And different things in our lives might happen to influence this baseline a little bit, but for the most part, we pretty much stay who we are at our base level throughout most of our lives, and then we add on to that. Those additions are more rooms to your mansion, more areas of your fortress, battlements are being erected so you can see everybody else. Like, this is all part of what you're working on day to day to build up in yourself. So, when you can do that, nothing anybody else does is going to shatter what you've created. Why? Because you know you. They don't know you. And you know what you believe in yourself, and whatever anybody else believes in you, it doesn't matter in relation to how you believe in yourself, because like you can choose at that point to listen to what somebody's going to say and feel offended, or you can choose to listen to what somebody say and feel boosted depending on, you know, what they're saying to you, or you can choose not to do either of those things and walk away because you're awesome, you know, and you know it. So to conclude that a little bit, I feel that self-esteem is super, super important. And it's something that a lot of us struggle with because we try to maintain our self-image to boost our self-esteem. I'm not going to say drop all your self-image work. If you're doing work for that, that's cool. But maybe if you focus on your self-esteem, your self-image might come a little easier. You know what I mean? Because then you're not really fighting up current. You're flowing with the waters now, and you're just kind of dodging rocks as you go down the stream instead of trying to swim up, you know? That's how I feel it is whenever you're going after self-image before you go for your self-esteem. Of course, both are important, like we've talked about today. You need them both for various things in your life, but one will come easier when you do the other first. I believe, anyway. Now there's some words that somebody else said here too that I wanted to talk about. It's not Deepak Chopra. It's oh gosh, what was this person's name? I think I saved it here. Okay. So this person's name is Eckhart Tolle, and Eckhart Tolle is a public speaker. And they say that true self-esteem goes much deeper. It's finding the source of power and aliveness deep inside, realizing that within the depth of your being that there is that continuous source of intense aliveness and power, which is the stillness out of which everything comes. Again, that's basically what I was talking about. If you work on your self-esteem, you maintain a powerful self-esteem, everything else will come out of that. And that's what Eckhart Tolle is saying here. And I totally agree with what Eckhart Tolle has to say. I agree with some of what Chopra has to say, but I think that Tolle had some really good words here. And a lot of us could do well with, you know, learning some of it. Let me look at the chat here and see where we're at. I want to know what you guys are thinking too. All right, I don't know how that Chopra guy finds it so easy to not get mad. I don't think that's the thing. I don't think that's what Chopra's saying. So you actually go to a mental health group, and that's why it's so much better. Oh, that's excellent. Support groups are awesome. Really, when you have solidarity from your peers, other people that are trying to accomplish the same thing that you are, it really boosts and bolsters your ability to do that thing that you're trying to accomplish. I talk about this all the time. When you control your environment, you keep people in your life that are going to boost you, promote you, they have qualities in themselves that you would like to have in yourself. Those are the people you want to be around. Not the people who are stupider than you, not the people who, you feel confident with because you can teach them something or something like that. Like, anytime you surround yourself with people, you want to try and analyze it a little bit and see who's toxic, who's helping me be a better person, better version of myself, and who is not, who is holding me back, who is preventing me from being happier than I should be right now. And then you can control those things. And sometimes you might realize that, like, wow, this person I've had in my life for a very long time is toxic right now. And then you can figure out what you're going to do then. Maybe you don't have to rid them of your life completely, but maybe you do have to have a talk about it, you know? Either way, it's totally okay. But as far as what Chopra was saying, I don't think he was saying don't get mad. We can react to things. I mean, that's gonna happen. We're human beings. But if we can focus on doing our best for ourselves and understanding that we make mistakes and being patient with ourselves, then we can help boost our self-esteem. When we make mistakes, if we can look at those as stepping stones as opposed to failures, then we can start making more progress and feeling better. We know that we're gonna make mistakes. This is a given, right? It's gonna happen. So why do we beat ourselves up so much when we make them? It's crazy. All of us know and understand the simple facets of life, that things are gonna happen whether we want them to or not, that sometimes we screw up and we just have to get back up, but we're all devastated when it happens for some reason, even though we know. But because of that, we've got to bolster ourselves so that we're more prepared when those things happen, and so that we don't get so down on ourselves when we make mistakes, because we're gonna make mistakes, and that's cool. It's cool to make mistakes. Why? Because guess what comes after your mistakes? Progress. You learned from those mistakes. You saw that you screwed up, and you're gonna work better to not do that again. You're gonna be a better version of yourself almost immediately after you've made that mistake, simply because you realize these things. So it's good. Keep making the mistakes. Keep getting better as people, because that's the way you're going to do it. That's the quickest way you're going to do it, honestly, is by making mistakes. You can observe other people and learn from them too, and that's definitely a good tool. But whenever you're just, whenever you're just trying to get better, like, know that your mistakes are going to help you do that the best way, because you're going to have firsthand experience with why you should or should not have done something, Alright, Jen says, I've never had to find a reason to body my self-esteem. I've always known who I am, and I've never doubted it even when I was surrounded by closed-minded bigots. I just didn't care. And that's impressive to me, Jen, because I am not immune to that whatsoever, and I think the majority of us aren't either. But I very much am impacted whenever somebody says something negative to me, or about somebody I care about, or about my actions, or something like that. And I know it's silly. I know that, but it does affect me. And the reason that it affects me so much, though, is because I don't have a lot of self-esteem. Now, I come up here and talk to you guys a lot. I'm very confident talking with you guys because I get you guys. I've gotten to know a lot of you, and you've all gotten to know me more and more during each of these casts. And so, you guys are my friends, so I feel more comfortable with you. But just talking to everybody, like I said, I was talking to Lolly Zombie earlier. I got really nervous whenever I first went to meet her, and she's a wonderful person. There was no reason for me to be on edge or anything like that, but I was kind of scared. How is she gonna think of me? Am I gonna say something that's gonna change her image of me? Maybe I'm not the same person whenever I'm in person as I am online. Is that gonna be a problem? There's all these things that I worried about, and it's because I wasn't confident in myself. Honestly, if I was just what? I'm a streamer, and people want to get to know me, and I want to get to know them, so we're going to do that, awesome. Why do people want to get to know me? I don't know. I could list off some good reasons, and that's not me being a bigot and me being, full of myself. Just like if you guys were doing that in that situation, you wouldn't be either. That's literally pumping yourself up. You're boosting yourself and telling yourself the same things that your friends would tell you in that situation. Be your own friend. That's so important. You can have the best of friends, but if you're not friends with yourself, oh my gosh, everything that they do is going to have such less impact on you. You're not going to hear it as well. And that goes into, appreciating who you are and loving yourself and stuff like that, which is a big theme here on the fence, of course. But that's another thing. That's another process, and it takes more time. I just want to talk about self-esteem mainly. So, let me do a little more reading here. Let's see. I had a few things that I had saved for us that I was hoping to pull from whenever we were going to talk about all this stuff. I'm always interested in hearing good news, Phoenix. Always. Okay. In her pants, that's what he wished. What are you talking about, Phoenix? What's up, Milkshake Fury? Welcome to the Fence. How are you doing today? Very nice to meet you. I'm your host, Fence Child LLG. You can call me Fence. Feel free to hang out and chit-chat. We're doing some kind of, not really philosophical talk, I guess, but just some deep talk here. It's Thoughtful Thursday. We've got our critical thinking question, which we have once a week here on the Fence. If you like discussion, absolutely come back on by, hang out with us, and I would love to hear your thoughts on these matters as well. Okay, now why are my alerts not working? What is happening? Restart the session. Okay, where's my alerts? Milkshake Fury, you became one among the Fence. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate that love and support. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Let's get that, okay, Darth. Let's get that welcome command out from Milkshake. You guys bring her into our LLG family with warm, open arms. Alright, what is this? What is playing right now? Is this still Undertale stuff? What? Why is that track? I don't understand. Whatever. Oh no, I opened a game I didn't mean to. No. Okay, I fixed it. Get yourself a full-time job? Hell yeah, Phoenix. Congratulations, man. That's awesome news. So excited for you. Innerpants is a username. Yeah, I know. He's my friend. But what are we talking about? I didn't see any context there. Okay, I was trying to read... darn it, I lost my article. Is it on a different page? Here we go. Okay. So let's read some of this here. Many of us, I feel like, when it comes to self-esteem and self-image, many of us are stuck on self-image. And so this person's offering some insight to their line of thinking. The author of this article, who is, let me see if I can find it here, Kathy Gottberg. She writes about this. And so she noted a few things. She says, unfortunately, focusing on self-image as I'm describing it presents 6 big problems. And we're going to read through a couple of these problems here. So, problem number 1, trying to control or predict with any certainty what other people think about me is completely impossible. All right, let's think about that. Driving ourselves crazy with thoughts of what this person's gonna say, how they're gonna react, how they're gonna think. We don't know any of it. Like, we can try to predict it, but if we continue to keep thinking about that, it's gonna screw us up and put us in a bit of a hole. We'll get into that obsessive cycle and keep thinking these thoughts, and we'll start to feel bad, you know, because we'll just be incredibly worried. Now she goes on to say, yet if I'm determined to try to win other people's approval or admiration, I am certain to experience frustration and unhappiness. Not only do trends and perceptions change, but so do each and every one of us. Obviously, our bodies are not the same as when we were 20, no matter how much we try to cut and paste them, and hopefully neither are our minds, our intelligence, or our consciousness. So, right there, she's saying, like I was talking about that shaky foundation earlier, trying to build yourself up on the shaky foundation of self-image is probably going to end in disaster in the long run, because it's ever-changing. It's what you're building upon. Like, for another example, if you're a painter and your canvas for some reason, like, this is a weird example. I don't know how out there I'm gonna go with this, but say your canvas for some reason just always changes. You know, like, yeah, you've got a blank white canvas now and you're painting on it, but then suddenly the canvas is like, well, I'm gonna be blue now. And so now your whole painting is altered because your background is blue. And then, like, you start painting again to try and make it look better with the blue background, and suddenly your background is red. Like, that's what you're facing when you're trying to build yourself up, focusing on self-image. And I really like this, the way that she words all this. So she has a second example. Second thing, self-image is a focus on the superficial and impermanent. Money, status, and possessions are all material and shallow ways to judge and relate to the human experience. Okay, let's say that again. Money, status, and possessions are all material and shallow ways to judge and relate to the human experience. Okay, so to form an opinion and judge somebody based on what they have is something that a lot of us do, you know, because we're creatures that look at things at face value and immediately try to slap some judgments on them so that we can interpret them and understand in different ways. But sometimes that's detrimental. So she goes on to say, do I or you really want to surround ourselves with other people who believe that those surface level and transient elements are vitally important to living a quality life? And what she means there is, do you want to surround yourself with a world and people where, like, everything that you do doesn't matter if you don't have something to show for it? If you don't have a nice house or a nice car or a nice looking body compared to everybody else? Like, is that how you want to live your life? Wondering how everybody's going to feel about you and then basing who you are off of that? And I feel like a lot of this, you know, a lot of you guys would answer no. That's not how you want to live, because that sounds stressful, doesn't it? Always trying to please somebody, that's a pain in the ass. It sucks. And we all know we can't please everybody, and so automatically that's a fruitless endeavor. Third thing she says is obsession with self-image leads to a life of constant comparison. And she says, as I've written about before, there will always be someone richer, thinner, more intelligent, more spiritual, more etc. A life of constant comparison is a competition that we can never win over the long run. And again, it's a fruitless endeavor. We don't want to. The goal shouldn't be to win over in that area because, like I said, in the end, you're trying to gain approval from other people. And what does that approval get you at the end of the day? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, and that sucks. Like, a lot of us do that. Like, I even catch myself with this, living a bit of a life of comparison. Like, I'm always looking at, you know, what streamer X is doing, or streamer Y is doing, or what my friend is doing with their girlfriend, or, you know, like, I notice these things, and I think it's natural for a lot of us too, especially growing up in the types of society that exists today. A lot of us, like, our world is superficial. You know, there's no getting around that. Our world cares about how things look. Our world cares about how successful individuals are, and if you don't happen to meet certain criteria, you don't exist to the world, and I think that that's terrible, you know? But we have some control over that in that we don't have to take part in it, you know? We'll be in the world, we'll be around these people, but we don't have to focus on the same things they focus on. We don't have to try and build our happiness on what they want us to build our happiness on. Because honestly, when we build our happiness based on self-image, what you're really doing is trying to build someone else's happiness, and nobody can really do that but themselves. I really like this author. She's got some amazing, amazing points here. That's really good stuff. All right, let me see. I'm gonna catch up on chat a little bit. Excuse me. Oh, thank you, Milkshake Fury. I appreciate the compliment on the hair. I've been growing it out for about, I want to say like a year and like 4 months, something like that. And milkshakes become mad? Oh my gosh. How did we get back into talking about superheroes? What happened there? Alright. So our next point. Our next point is if all we care about is self-image, then we are extremely susceptible to being manipulated by others in the media. So whenever we care about self-image a lot, here's what we're doing. We're telling everybody around us, hey, you want control on my life? You want to direct me to where you want me to go? Go ahead, come on. Come on, I'll do what you want. Who cares if I don't feel good about it? You do. Let's do it. You know? That sucks. That's no way to live either. If we end up chasing after things that others tell us is important, the author continues, pure white teeth, a wrinkle-free face, the latest big screen TV, just to name a few examples, then we'll never arrive because there will always be something else that we need to make us happy. Anytime we gain what we're going for, our goals, you know, when it's focused on or centered around self-image, anytime we achieve them, there's going to be another thing waiting for us. Because, yeah, we got that, but great, like, now you're just in line with a bunch of other people that have that thing, and so you're just being compared to a bunch of other people now. And that sucks, you know what I mean? So, next point, a focus on the external world of self-image is a sure guarantee that we will experience dissatisfaction with who we are and what we have over and over again because of the nature of it, because it's constantly changing, because we can't meet everyone's expectations for our whole lives. It's impossible. It's been proven repeatedly that hedonistic pleasures have limited staying power. So, material things, shallow wants and desires, those things have limited staying power. And what that means is they're only going to be temporary. They're only going to make you happy for X amount of time, and then once that time is up, you're going to need something else. And so, if you work really hard for that, suddenly having a temporary, like, result from all your hard work starts to feel kind of fruitless. It starts to feel like you kind of, well, why did I do all that if I'm just gonna have to do it again? You know, it sucks. And getting caught up in that cycle is really, really easy when you're focused on self-image. So, the final point on the self-image thing. Self-image is related to needs that are based on fear. Whenever we seek outward approval, attempt to control, or strive toward external power, we're acting in fear. And that fear can be based on the idea that we aren't good enough, or that the world is a scary place that needs to be controlled and or dominated. I talk about our need for control all the time. It's definitely a human thing. But what this author is suggesting right now is that our need for control is based off of our fear for what happens when we don't control it. So those motivating factors, I mean, fear is a great motivating factor when you're trying to control, okay? But it's not something that we want to like center our lives around either. And so to further go on this, by focusing on self-image, you're making fear the center of your life, and that's where all of your progress is trying to come from. And like, how much of a struggle you think that's gonna be when you're trying to build yourself up and make yourself a better person and feel better about yourself when you're doing so with the basis of fear. Fear is a negative emotion. Fear is something that's self-preserving. It's protective for human beings to keep us from doing stupid things that hurt us and stuff like that. But in a societal standpoint, fear is very, very detrimental. We shouldn't be afraid of how people are going to think of us. We shouldn't be afraid of what someone's going to say or how people are going to react to what we do. If we love to do it, it makes us happy internally. If it boosts our self-esteem, why should we have to hold back for the sake of other people? We don't expect other people to hold back for the sake of us, do we? Maybe we do. Maybe some of us do. And that's why we get upset whenever they don't, meet our expectations. Whenever they do things that we're like, hey, that's not right, that's upsetting for us. But again, that's that control. We're afraid that this person is going to be in our world now and influencing things in ways that we maybe don't agree with so much. Even in that situation, when you're not the one that you have to worry about with self-image, when you make someone else have to worry about their self-image by placing these types of expectations on them and things like that, suddenly they're trying to live their life for somebody else too, and it's because of how you're responding to things. So again, in that situation, if you're still focusing on self-esteem, it doesn't matter what this person's doing. It doesn't matter if you agree with what they do or not. Yeah, it might still upset you, but you're gonna walk away from the situation and be like, here's what I do, and I'm happy about that, and that's what I enjoy, and that's what matters, and I'm gonna keep doing it, You just feel good about yourself in that situation. You don't get mad. You don't get super pissed off. You don't think that the world around you sucks because everybody's like that, You don't add that example to your list of terrible people that you've encountered in your life. Like, we all have a bit of a list with that, I know, but after a while that list starts getting really long, and when we look at it, we have a horrible outlook on the world around us, and we can avoid all of that when we focus on self-esteem. So self-image is, again, just to recap, important to some degree in certain societal needs, but overall is not nearly as important as your self-esteem, because your self-esteem will drive your self-image forward. You know how I say, if you just keep doing you and you keep going after what you love and your passions and doing with your life awesome things that you work hard to achieve, people around you are going to take notice. People around you are going to see that you're driven, you're motivated, and those types of people are going to want some of that in their own lives too. And suddenly you might find people coming into your life who help you, who boost you, who make you feel good, because those are the types of people you needed in your life, and you drew them because you were pursuing your own happiness. A lot of us, all of us strive for happiness. All of us want to be happy. It's a big need for us, and so most of our lives are spent trying to be happy. So whenever you are confident in yourself, you believe in yourself, and you live your life based on your needs. And I know there's other exceptions to this scenario and everything like that. I'm not gonna get into that right now, but when you live your life based on your needs and who you are and making yourself happy at a fundamental level, people around you are gonna, like I said, be drawn to that. And you're suddenly going to be in an environment that's good, it's positive, and you're going to be able to recognize toxic people in your life and get rid of them almost immediately. You're going to be able to bring in more people that promote you, and by promote I mean like promote your self-esteem, not your self-image. These people won't be people who are like, you need to do this because I think this of you. They'll be people who are like, man, you should do this because you've been really trying hard. You've been working on this for so long, and they believe in you because you believe in yourself. And that's amazing. That is an incredible feeling. And it would change the whole world if we could do this, on a larger scale. But I know it's hard. It is a challenge. It is something that we're all going to deal with. And even when we walk away from this discussion, I'm not going to suddenly be immune to all these problems or suddenly be like a self-esteem master or anything like that, but this is good to talk about, and it's good to think about too, because we often do get caught up in the race with self-image and trying to, you know, meet these expectations all the time, and it in turn negatively affects our self-esteem, negatively impacts our lives, and makes it harder for us to do the things that we really want to do. So to wrap everything up, self-esteem is internal, self-image is external. Self-esteem and self-image, while they are relatable, are two very different things, and one can have more of an impact than the other. So I really didn't get into any solutions here, which I'm kind of kicking myself for. I should have done that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a little bit here, because this person's talking about a little bit of solutions, and I'm sure there are many different solutions out there, especially for every different individual. We all have different needs and things like that, so some things will work better than others. But here's one, and I'm going to read to you what the author Kathy Gottberg is saying here. So she says, so how do I or any of us get to the point where we completely 100% accept and know that deep and true part of ourselves? Okay, Chopra says that the way to do it is to meditate on it every single day. That's what Chopra says. Kathy goes on to say, that makes sense to me because I know that as I continue to meditate daily, my true nature becomes more and more real and alive to me. I also know that the more time, energy, and resources I spend discovering the core of my being and its relationship to the spiritual and material world, my life becomes more happy, peaceful, and content. Surely I am not better than anyone else. Instead, I am connected and at one with all that is, and that makes for a very healthy self-esteem. And it's kind of amazing thinking about this. That's I just read you one paragraph of what she was saying with solutions. What I find amazing about this is the themes that we talk about here on The Fence quite often. And one of those themes is acceptance. Acceptance is huge. You guys know how important acceptance is to me, and how much impact I feel that it has in our lives whenever we can embrace it. What she's saying is that if we can internalize and become one with ourselves, we can in turn become one with the world around us. That's acceptance at its most fundamental level, and that is true peace. We all have fears, and we get angry about things, and we're sad about stuff because we wish it would be different. But if we could accept it, we could accept that there's tragedy, we could accept that there's loss, we could accept that there's things that piss us off, and that we're not going to respond the best of ways all the time, and that other people aren't going to be expected to either. That we're all human beings with flaws, and those flaws make us individually imperfect, which is, in turn, a sign of human perfection. I appreciate beauty in a lot of things, and all things that I can, and human beings are one of those. Even people that we think are bad, you know, they have something about them that's good, and maybe it just got lost and swallowed up in that sea of bad because they made some bad decisions or something. But honestly, when we can accept all of these things, these people are still going to be there, whether we accept them or not. So that's something that we need to understand. When we can accept all of these things, yeah, it's going to negatively impact us in the moment, but we're going to be able to walk away with a clear head. We're going to be able to walk away with our heads up, and we're going to have a much more positive outlook on the situation, on our own lives, and on the world around us, because we accept our place in it, you know? And so, again, self-esteem is going to help you accept all these things when you build it, when you bolster it, and you try to make yourself into who you expect you to be. Because really, that's what matters, right? Who you want to be. That's who you should be. And again, everything else will fall into place whenever you can work on that and make that happen. And it's a process. None of this is a quick fix. None of this is an easy out or a solution that you guys are going to be able to pick up on overnight or anything like that, but it is something that we can all work on together here on The Fence, and that I totally expect to. You know, if you guys are working on this and you want to get serious, let me know, man. I will be in your corner all the way, and we'll get you to being the best version of you that you can be, that you want to be, and I mean, we'll all support each other here, you know? That's what's great about here. This environment is incredible to me. I've never been anywhere else on the internet that's like right here. You guys create this amazing environment with the community together that is accepting and welcoming, and people become comfortable here. You know, they can talk about these things and understand these things a little bit more because they're more open to express real aspects of themselves. So let's take that further. Let's use that. Let's bolster each other. Let's build each other up and hold expectations for ourselves, not externally, but internally, and support each other in doing so. That's my talk on self-esteem and self-image today, guys. I hope you liked it. I hope that it was informative and that you all could have gotten something out of it. If some of you guys are newer and you're just coming in, welcome to the Fence. Very glad that you're here. I'm your host, Fence Child LLG, also known as Fence. You can just call me Fence.